Hello everyone, hope that you're all keeping well. This morning we're looking at the story of the walk to Emmaus. This story takes place on the evening of the same day that Jesus rose from the dead. Firstly, I have a little puzzle for you. You'll see some pictures of some very familiar items, but taken from different angles. Can you guess what they are? How many did you get right? Isn't it funny how something that's so familiar to us is so hard to recognise when it's in an unfamiliar angle or an unfamiliar place? That's exactly what happened in the Bible story I'm going to read to you now. This is from Luke chapter 24, starting at verse 13. The walk to Emmaus. Now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognising him. And he said to them, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem that does not know the things that have taken place there in these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who had said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the woman had said, but they did not see him." Then he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer for these things and then enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if he were going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, because it is almost evening, and the day is now nearly over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognised him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he was talking to us on the road, while he was opening the scriptures to us?" That same hour they got up and returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and their companions gathered together. They were saying, "The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon." Then they told us what had happened on the road, and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. So, even though these two people knew Jesus really well, they didn't recognise him. The same thing happens to us today. Even though we know Jesus, we don't always recognise him when he speaks to us or he appears to us through other people. But whatever we're doing, he is always with us. I've got a craft activity for you now to help us remember that we're walking with Jesus and that he is always with us. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a piece of paper. You can use white and colour it in a pattern, or you could use patterned, whatever you've got available. Some sellotape, a pencil, some felt tips, and I've got some sequins, but you can use a piece of wool or a piece of string, anything you've got available that's like thin and long that would do the same job. And what we're going to make is our very own shoe. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to get our piece of paper and either draw around your foot or draw around a shoe, which is what I'm going to do now. Okay. Then we're going to cut out the shape we've just made. Now have a shoe shape. Now we're going to make some holes so that we can put our string or whatever we're using through. You might want to use a hole punch if you've got one, or if not, a pencil does just as good a job. So I'm going to poke some holes just here and up here. Then you're going to need your string, whatever you've got available, and you need to cut two pieces that are going to make your cross lines here. And you're going to put them through both holes, the top one and one of the bottom ones. And then you're going to tape them. On the back, just like this. And then you're going to repeat again with the other piece. So you should end up with something that looks a bit like a flip-flop. After that, we're going to write some words on it. I chose, on the one I did earlier, to write "Walk with Jesus." You can choose to write anything you like that you're reminded of by the Emmaus story. On this one, I think I'm going to write "Jesus is always with me." So I'm going to choose a pen and I'm going to write those words. And there we have it. Jesus is always with me. Walk with Jesus. If you want to, you can always add a loop at the top You can hang it somewhere. And hopefully these will remind you that whatever you're doing, you're always walking with Jesus. Jesus is always with you. Let's say a prayer together as we finish today. Lord Jesus, thank you that you are always with us. Thank you that we are always walking with you. Open our eyes so that we will be able to recognise you wherever we are and whatever we're doing. Amen. Hope you have a good week, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Bye for now.